is Josh Brown here on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. Or why don't you listen to him? Excuse me, we've got that turned down here. I'm Marky Billson, Josh Brown, Nakahoma Nation. You're listening on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio or on jetbroadcasting.live, where you can go then after you listen to this and listen to the podcast if you decide not to listen to Colin Cowherd, who comes up next. Hey, well, big news, and I'm, you know what, I'm a little surprised this hasn't been done more. He did not sign with the Braves, didn't think they gave him enough money. He enrolled at Eastern Florida. That's a JUCO. And he's now going to be pursuing Japan. To tell you the truth, I'm a little surprised that more players haven't done it.
Well, as you know, the Atlanta Braves picked him in the first round. He was the 8th overall pick, and the slot value for that pick was $4.98 million.
Yeah.
Well, after you pick a guy, you do a physical, and you just verify that everything's good. And when they did, and as we know, like you said, he goes to JUCO. He doesn't have any money, and now he's hired none other than Scott Boras, who has maybe, but I've got to wonder if he'll one day regret not signing with the Atlanta Braves. We'll see.
See, I guess that I look at Japan, and I could actually see that as being a good developmental area. I mean, heck, sometimes you play on dirt infields, for crying out loud. You want to be able to learn how to take bad hops if you're an infielder. But the Japanese game, for instance, is a lot more breaking ball, fundamental. It's a sin to strike out, although it's not, it's not as if nobody strikes out. The strikeout there is the point that I'm making. So yeah. I could see where that would be. Let's say, let's say that you say, look, I'm a straight fastball hitter. I don't like the money. And yes, the SoftBank Hawks, the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks are paying me more money. And I think I'll go to Japan. The only thing is, I'm surprised that Stewart, he's talking about 6 years in Japan. That's his $2 million offer. I mean, hey, I'd like $2 million in my bank account right now. Is where you start saying, that's the do I want to be a Japanese baseball player? And I have been around ball players who went to Japan, or do I want to be Mr. Baseball, or do I want to be? And again, we can discuss. I mean, where that goes to and all this. Anyway, it reminds me a little bit of Bob Horner going to the Yakult Swallows back in the day. I don't know if you made that analogy and all that, but and I'll tell you that Horner was the team captain of the Braves. It was a big loss, but the Braves back then, they had a decent third baseman. He wasn't Horner, but they had a decent backup in Ken Oberkfell. They were going to get by with him at third. And as it was, Horner, was beginning to lose it. And when he came back after his 1 year with the Swallows, he signed with St. Louis, and he had 3 home runs left with him, and that was it. And so, I could see from that, and the Braves basically played hardball. I mean, that's a whole different, that's the Ted Turner, Bobby Cox Braves, for crying out loud. I mean, Bobby Cox is a general manager, and and they may have made the right decision there. Eventually they got Chipper Jones. I guess he was going to come sooner or later, but yeah.
And I'll tell you what, another thing, it's about the cost of living. It's about triple in Japan than it is in good old Atlanta, Georgia. So that's another thing to think about. I'm just saying. It is not cheap to live in Japan.
I didn't know it was cheap to live in Atlanta.
Well, I mean, there's Metro Atlanta, there's Cobb County. You can get by. All right.
Yeah, you got the MARTA and all that sort of stuff. So, it's like, it gets too hot. They've got out there in Coca-Cola Center that sprinkler system, that sort of thing.
Hey, speaking of heat, Marky,
yes.
I'm suffering today, my friend. It's 77 degrees up here in Boone.
I'm telling you, there's no air conditioning here in the studio, and I've got my gray, I've got my gray sport coat, And even had Jerry Bonkowski say off the air, "What? It's Friday. Why do you wear a polo? Why do you do that?" No, I like being the best dressed guy in the room. There you are. Anyway, hey, we mentioned some of the different.
I mean, I didn't have too many thoughts on it. I mean, he's no, Dennis Eckersley or anything like that. But I like Jerry Blevins. I like him. I think he's still got some stuff to prove, and he's still formidable. He's 35 and everything, so that's no spring chicken for sure. But he's going to be better than Johnny Venters, and God bless Johnny Venters for what he did and coming back. But I don't think he sticks around. There's just so many guys coming up. I think
He's a lefty in the back end of the bullpen. He's going to come on in sixth inning. Who comes closing the ninth nowadays? That's not it. All right, we're talking to Josh Brown, Knockahoma Nation here on Tri-City Sports Now as we go to our final 5 minutes of the week here. Why do you think restore past glories?
I think he's just getting a little old. That's all, and also the sample size was really small too. I think I could be wrong, but I keep thinking he's going to still get picked up by somebody, right? He only pitched in like 4.2 innings this year. And he was not good, granted, but it's 4.2 innings. And his last performance, I was watching it, he was throwing 95 miles an hour. He's still got velocity and everything. So, they do. Johnny Venters, let me tell you, is, by all accounts, one of the best guys in baseball. And I've heard that from so many people. I interviewed Sam Howard, who was a prospect for the Rockies 3 years ago. He was working out in a North Atlanta metro place. And just said that Johnny Venters was there trying to make a comeback. And this is back before anybody knew he was coming back. And Sam Howard was maybe 20 this year that I think he's ever made so far. And so good for him. But I think somebody's going to pick him up. I could be wrong.
Getting from the Mariners here, Anthony Swarzak. His first outing for the Braves does well, throws a scoreless inning, 2 strikeouts, no hits, that sort of thing. He had not been pitching well, though, in Seattle, and had actually struggled the last 2 years, including 2018. What makes you think, though, that he might be able to restore his 2017 form, where, you look at his whip, you look at his numbers, his ERA and such, very good pitching for both numbers. What makes you think that he can regain his 2017 stuff?
And not just older guys, but guys who may not have been great in the past. And I think Mike Fast, who the Braves got from the Astros organization, has been a huge help with this. So he gets in there and studies how much movement your pitches have. And if you look at the StatCast leaderboard, Steris actually wrote a great column about this 2 days ago at The Athletic. The Atlanta Braves are on top of all these leaderboards when it comes to movement on their pitches. And so just an interesting thing. Do I save Schwarzak's career? I don't know. Braves kind of come in intelligently and help people who have good stuff get a little better. And he's only a couple years removed from being really good, and obviously he wasn't great with the Mariners. But even if he's not good with the Braves, it still was. I think it was a favor. I really do for the Mariners kind of thing. It was one of the things where the Mariners, they're going to get Vizzy next year when he gets back, and Vizzy's still good. He's still young, and Biddle. It was just a way to get rid of Biddle and his contract, and maybe help you out with Schwarzak a little bit, but it was mostly helping the Mariners out, I think. I don't think Schwarzak.
Yeah, they gave up a lot. They really did. 2 for 1 that way, but
for sure.
Yeah. Now I will just say, okay, the Braves, they go into St. Louis, where the Cardinals have been struggling lately, actually, and so the Braves, this 3-game series, it'll be after it's over. The season will be a third of the way through, or at least after the next 3 games. There's a chance Atlanta could wind up with 30 victories in their first third of the year, which, that's on pace for a 90-victory season, and now you understand why I've been optimistic about the Braves this season and such. And as I said, if the season ended today, they'd make the wild card, and they're only a game back of the Phillies, who we didn't get a chance to make throwing the ball into Waveland Avenue. All right, there we go. He's Josh Brown. He's sane. Listen to him on Knockahoma Nation, even when those on Twitter around him are insane.